Hello everyone, it's Mr. Rops here.
And Miss Bui?
Alright, and so we're going to do factoring quadratics when a is not 1. And so with quadratics, we often talk about ax squared bx plus c, and a is this number in front of the x squared, the coefficient. So in this case, a is 1. But every time a is not 1, the very, very first thing you should always look out for is what is a common factor first.
Or the greatest common factor.
Oh, even better, the greatest common factor. Thank you. Okay, and so if I start here, I'm gonna factor this fully. I look at a is not 1, a is 3. Is there a common factor here?
Yes.
Ooh, I think 3 is my common factor.
Right.
And so I can pull out the 3 and I get x squared plus, well, 15 divided by 3 is 5x. Uh-oh, what's 72 divided by 3? 24 maybe?
Yes.
I think it's 24. Okay, and so now a is 1. And so we are just going to do the magic question idea where what two numbers multiply to get negative 24 and they add to get 5. And these first bits are going to be x and x because it multiplies to get x squared. So x and x. So what two numbers multiply to get negative 24 and add to get 5, Miss Boy?
8 and 3?
Awesome. I get 8 and 3, but because this is negative, one of them has to be negative.
Yes.
And this has to be positive.
So positive 8 and negative 3?
Super. And if we just do a quick little check here, this is 8x. And this is minus 3x, which is the 5x here, and the negative 24.
Right.
Super. Oh, this kind of looks like a face here, a nose and a mouth. My eyeglasses here.
Yes.
Oh, you got cool shades in the math video. All right, so let's try the next one. Oh, this one's a little trickier, I think. First thing we're going to look for is the greatest common factor to pull out. What do we see here, Miss Boy?
We see 60, 10, and 10. So what is the greatest common factor of 60 and 10?
Oh, 10.
It will be 10.
Oh, and I even got x's as well. I can pull out a 10x.
Right, 10x.
If I pull out a 10x, well, that's going to give me 6 plus x minus x squared.
Right.
I got a problem here. My a value right here is negative 1. I don't like that.
No.
I can make it positive 1 if I
Yeah.
pull out a common factor of negative. So if I pull out a negative sign, then these signs switch. So I get negative 6 minus x plus x squared. Now I'm going to even rewrite it one last time so that it's in the form that I'm comfortable with. So it gets x squared minus x minus 6.
Right.
And now it's just a is 1. We ask ourselves our magic question. What's this one going to be, Miss Boy?
What two numbers multiply together will give us negative 6 and add together give us a negative 1?
Right. If you stop and think about that for a second, you should get 3 and a positive 2. And so this one's, the only hard part about this is making sure you pull out a good common factor of negative 10x. So this factor has a coefficient of 1. Okay, let's try the next one. All right, first thing we look for a common factor. I got 5, 14, and 3.
There is no.
Uh-oh. All right, so now, but a is still not 1. A is 5. So now we got a problem. It gets a little bit more complicated. I'm going to break my parentheses up. And I know these first two, when I multiply them, I have to get 5x squared. And so the only way that I can get 5x squared is if one is 5x and the other is x.
Does it matter which one we put first?
No, not in this case. We could make this x and this 5x. Doesn't matter. Okay? And then I look at, then the next thing I do is I'm going to try and find out what's going to happen if I look at those positions. They have to multiply to get negative 3. Similar to the magic question, they multiply to get negative 3. Well, the only numbers that multiply to get negative 3 are 1 and 3, and I know one of them has to be negative. but I don't actually know where they go. So at this point, we just have to do a little bit of trial and error. So I'm just going to randomly put in 3 and 1. And I'm going to make my face with my nose and my smile. I'm going to multiply the 3x together. And I'm going to multiply 5x, and 1 is 5x. And I ask myself, can I add or subtract these numbers to get 14x?
Nope.
Nope. So this combination is incorrect. So I erase it around and I switch them around. Try 1 and 3. And I do the same thing. I'm looking to add to get 14. So I get 1x and 15x. Could I add or subtract those to get a positive 14?
Yes.
Ooh. If I make this negative one, then I will get a positive 14. Well, this negative sign came from this multiplication here. So in order to make this negative, that one's got to be negative. This one was a positive. And if you remember, I had to get negative 3, so I knew one of them had to be negative. And so if I check this, I get the first two numbers multiplied, I get 5x squared. The last two numbers multiply to get a negative 3, and then the negative x and 15x make the 14. So it's just an extension of the magic question. What two numbers multiply to get negative 3 and add in such a way to get 14? Okay, a lot of mental arithmetic there, though, and trial and error. And the more you do, the faster you get at doing it.
Yes.
Let's try this one now. Again, I look for a common factor. There's no common factor. And so I have to somehow split this one up. The 6. Oh, yeah. Oh, there goes my crazy pen. Okay, the 6. Well, that could be 2 and 3 or 1 and 6. I don't know which pair, but those are the pairs. And so this cell and this cell has to be one of them.
I would try 2 and 3.
I would suggest that too. And I only suggest that because of experience. I've done lots of these in my life, and it rarely seems to be 1 and 6. It's often like the other combination.
Right.
And then the next thing I look at is the negative 6 here. So again, it's a 2 and a 3. Oh, not a 2/3, but a 2 and a 3. And a 1 and a 6. And one of them has to be negative because of the negative here. So now it's just a matter of guessing and checking. And let's start with 2 and 3 first. So I'm just going to go randomly 2 and 3. And now I'm going to go, well, that's 6x, making my face, my smile now, my nose, and my mouth. And 6x, that's not going to give me negative 5. So if we try...
And can I also mention that the reason why I know that 2 and 3 doesn't go there, because if they go there, there will be a common factor.
Oh, right, there's a 2 and a 2.
Right, and we know that there is no common factor.
Ah, good point. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to switch them around and we'll try 3 and 2. Well, this is a 9x, and this is a 4x. Oh, and I want a negative 5. I'm feeling good about this. How do I get the negative 5 there, Miss Boy?
Negative 9x plus 4x will give us a negative 5x.
Right, so that adds to get the negative 5. And so this negative comes from the 3 times 3, so it's negative here, and the positive is the 2x and the 2, so that's here.
Looks good.
Looks good. Okay, try another one. Now, at this point, you should pause the video and try this one on your own, and then check your answer with us. Okay, so now you're back. So we'll do it fairly quickly since you paused it and tried it yourself. I know my possibilities are 2 and 2 or 1 and 4. I'm going to go for 2 and 2 just because that's what experience tells me to do. And then 3, I have 1 and 3. And again, one of them has to be negative. So I'm just going to guess and check. So 1 and 3. Here's my nose, a 2x. And this is a 6x. I'm not going to get negative x. All right, ooh, if I switch it around, will it make a difference? If I make this 3 and this 1, it's not going to make any difference because it's still 2 times 2x. So I know it's not going to be 2 and 2. And so then I'll get rid of this one. Let's make them 4 and 1. So 4 and 1 and 3 and 1. So this is 12x and x. Oh, no luck. Still stuck. Switch them around. I get a 3 and a 1, a 3x and a 4x. Now we're talking to get a negative. I want this to be negative. So negative, positive. How's that look?
Looks great.
All right. I think we have one more to do, and then we have one for the students to try on their own.
Okay.
First step.
Look for the greatest common factor.
Oh, I think there's a 2. I'm going to pull out a 2. 2x squared plus 13x plus 6. All right, so now I got a 2, and I can break this down. Now you should pause this, students, and try it yourself, and then just check and see how you're doing. So I know 2x here and here, so let's make it a 2x and an x. And then I know the 6 could be 2 and 3 or 1 and 6. Now, if I start to think about this, I want 13, so I kind of 6 and 2, if I just start to play with it before I even plug it in, maybe this one will be 6 and this one will be 1. So here's a nose and a mouth, and that's an x and a 12x. Oh, I'm feeling good. This is going to be, they both are going to be positive, both positive, and there's my factoring. So there's our method. A lot of trial and error and deconstructing the factors. Try this one on your own, and we'll check it in class. Good work, everyone.
All right.